Afternoon, everyone. All right, we can do better than that, y'all. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, good evening. Let's do that. Good evening. Oh, hey, y'all. Yeah. All right. Good. So, want to welcome everyone out tonight. We'll have an informal conversation with representatives from Ford and SK. Also, Senator Waller joined us. But we're going to start off. I asked Senator Waller if he didn't mind if he would lead us in a prayer, and we'll come back and do a welcome. So, Senator Waller, would you?
Thank you, Mayor. Our loving Heavenly Father, thank you for the privilege of coming here as a community tonight to listen, to learn, to thank you, to celebrate, and to just bow before you asking for wisdom and discernment as to how this remarkable opportunity can come to benefit children, families, communities, and build a wonderful tomorrow for Hardeman County. We thank you for the leadership here. We thank you for each man, woman represented, for our special guests from Ford and SK Innovations. And we just ask that you would pour out your grace upon us. Let us conduct ourselves in a way that would make you proud, to be all we can be and to do all we can do to lift up Hardeman County. And we'll thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Again, want to welcome everyone out. Thanks so much for coming. A couple of people I do want to recognize. Our county mayor, Mr. Todd Pulse, is here. You stand up and raise your hand, Mr. Todd. Sitting next to him is Mr. Heath McMillan. He's the vice president of the TCAT there on Blue Oval City's campus. So thank you so much for coming out. I saw some other city mayors throughout the county. Seen Mayor Lane over here, and Mayor Bowden, I think, was here. Thank you. I don't think I missed any other city mayors. All elected officials, if you would stand and raise your hand. I know I saw some of our council members and county elected people. Thank you guys for coming out. I want to thank our sponsors tonight, the Louise Theater, Mr. Brad Grantham, for providing popcorn and drinks for us. Thank you, Brad. Popcorn makes everything better, right? And then our friends at the Golden Circle Ford Auto Group, Bolivar Auto, did y'all see the F-150 lightning out front? Thank you, Ms. Nina, for bringing that out for us. Thank you so much. Give Bolivar Ford a hand, guys. So when you walked in, there was some index cards out front on the table there. If you got those, if you had any questions, feel free to write those out. If you would hand that to Dylan. He has some. If anybody has any questions that they would like to ask of our representatives, feel free to fill it out on the card and bring it up. He'll give it to us, and he'll bring it up. Give it to him, and he will bring it up here to us. So we may not be able to get to all of the questions tonight, but we're going to try to get to as many as we possibly can, okay? So we'll just jump right in this. On September 27, 2021, there was a major announcement from Governor Lee. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee announced Ford Motor Company has selected Memphis Regional Megasite for one of the largest battery and vehicle manufacturing campuses in the U.S. To show you how big this was, Ford and SK Innovation will invest $5.6 billion. That's what they be, $5.6 billion to build a 3,600 mega campus called Blue Oval City on the Memphis Regional Mega Site, where the production of next generation all-electric F-Series trucks will begin in 2025. And the greatest thing about that for me and this county that I was excited about, it's right in our backyard, guys. Drive time, I keep this article on my paper from the Commercial Appeal. Drive time from Whiteville, Tennessee is, let me find it on the list, 22 minutes, 18 miles. Mayor Bowden's right there. Right there, y'all give Mayor Bowden and Whiteville a hand. Where we're sitting right here, we are 34-minute drive from Blue Oval City. Y'all, this is the biggest opportunity in a lifetime, and this is a major blessing for our community and all of West Tennessee. But we have to make sure we're prepared to take advantage of the opportunity. So what I want to do, y'all didn't come to hear me talk, so I got three great people up here with us. Representative Shaw, be praying for him. He is a little under the weather, so he wasn't able to make it tonight. But I'll have Senator Wally here, Paige Wally. We don't have to introduce Paige. I think everyone in this room knows Senator Wally. To my right, I have Ms. Sheronda Green. She's a Brownsville native who, after graduating from the Tennessee State University, right? The Tennessee State University with a bachelor's degree in business administration with a concentration in marketing. She came back home to explore how she could make a difference in West Tennessee. She and her husband, Andre, make their home in Brownsville with their two children, Sky and Andre Jr. Sheronda loves Tennessee and serves to make it the best place it could be. She currently volunteers her talent to serve as president of the Brownsville-Haywood County Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, Leadership Hardeman County, the Industrial Development Board, Brownsville Arts Council Board member, and Madison-Haywood County Board member. She's a member of the Haywood County branch of NAACP, a Leadership Haywood alumni, a West Star alumni. She's a community servant, and she just began the role as the community engagement leader for Blue Oval SK. So you guys give Ms. Sheronda Green a hand. Yeah, county commissioner in Haywood, elected official. Marianne said, do not read all of this, so I'm going to read all of this. So to my left here, we have Ms. Marianne Dunavant, originally of Nashville. We won't hold that against her. Originally from Nashville, she's dedicated her life to public service and community improvement. Marianne recently joined Ford as a government relations manager who will be focused on local government and community relations in support of Blue Oval in West Tennessee. She previously serves as a state director for victim rights since 2020 and previously served as the district director for Congressional District 8 under U.S. Representative David Kustoff from 2017 to 2020. Marianne's prior professional experience also includes service as an alderman for the town of Atoka, chief of staff for Covington Mayor Justin Hanson, field representative for U.S. Congressman Steve Fincher, and legislative assistant for House Judiciary Committee in the Tennessee General Assembly. Marianne's service to the Tipton County community includes having served on the board of directors for both the Tipton County Carl Perkins Child Advocacy Center and the Tipton County Commission on Aging, and a membership in the Covington Lions Club and South Tipton County Exchange Club. Marianne has previously served as a certified CASA volunteer and gives tirelessly her time and resources to numerous other community and charitable organizations. Marianne and her husband, Mike Dunavant, live in Covington. Their son, Hutch, is currently a sophomore pursuing civil engineering degree at the University of Mississippi. So you guys welcome Ms. Marianne Dunavant. So, gentlemen, if you have any of those cards, you can bring them up now. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Marianne and Ms. Sheronda, and I'm going to let you guys take it from here, and then we'll just have a dialogue back and forth with some questions, okay?
Absolutely. Sheronda, do you want to start? Sure.
Also, if you guys have any questions, you can write them out and bring them to me.
Good evening. Let me say I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Mayor Matizik, the city of Bolivar, for welcoming us into your city tonight. Of course, I want to answer all the questions you have, but let me give you this disclaimer. I started on Monday. But like most of you—
No pressure for me.
But like most of you, I have watched this project from its inception. And I've watched it as a local person, as an elected official, and now I'm happy to be able to serve it to make sure that we communicate with you and to be an ear for you to communicate with us. Here's something that I learned here just a couple of days ago. Blue Oval City, major project between two iconic forces. That is Ford and then SK, who will be putting the battery in those beautiful electric trucks and cars. It is a joint venture, a 50-50 partnership between those two companies. And what they're going to do, not just in this region, but also on the SK side in Kentucky, is going to be phenomenal. What we hope to see definitely is a rise, not in just economic development, but in terms of intelligence, in terms of how the the living of what we know now will be enhanced. So we're happy that this project has been launched in Stanton, Tennessee, in West Tennessee, and we're just here and happy to serve. SK motto is to electrify the future mobility, and it starts right here in West Tennessee.
Not bad for day 2. Then I'll add, I've been here 4 months, and so you'll get 4 months worth of information from me. But one of the things that I love is that you'll notice that Ford and SK came to town, and one of the first things they did was they found local people who know West Tennessee, and we know the rural areas. And I think that personally, like Sheronda, I worked for the congressman before, and I covered this territory. So I know the people, and I know the players. I had to learn Ford. She's having to learn SK. But just know that we understand you. We understand your communities. And when Ford came in, at working for the congressman, I did the same thing. It was like I was a part of wanting something to come here. I was a part of waiting for that next thing. We had meetings after meetings. And so when we knew that something was coming, but we didn't know it was going to be this big. And so I am also very proud now to be on the other side, because cars has not always been my passion, but community is my passion. And so what I know Ford is going to bring to our communities, that's what keeps me getting up every single day and hitting those streets. And then I'm pleased to know that Ford is such a great company to work for. You all, it's a $5.6 billion investment. And for us, that's in West Tennessee, but for Ford, this is a global initiative. And so when you think it's big for West Tennessee, really go further than that and just imagine that every truck that we make here, we're going to be shipping all over the world. And so we've just put Stanton, Tennessee, population 415, I think, is maybe the last number. And now we're going to be hiring, between the two companies, 6,000 employees. And so what does that mean for our workforce? That means that we're going to focus on education. Why did Ford choose Tennessee? One, because the site, they were really excited to see a flat site. That the construction company got very excited about that. So the site was ready, but they also looked for leadership, working with the state. They were very pleased working with the state and our local leaders. They said when they came to town, they saw the energy and they felt the excitement, and they felt like those were people that they wanted to partner with. And then one of the things they were most impressed with was Tennessee's given the 2 years of free college. Heath is here with TCAT. They loved the idea of that, because when you have to create a workforce with 6,000 people, you have to constantly have a funnel that is preparing them. And with that TCAT that we're building on site, keep in mind we're going to have Ford on site, which is the truck assembly line. We're going to have SK on site, which is its own entity and a supplier to Ford. They're going to have roughly 4 to 8 suppliers on site, other suppliers on site as well. The TCAT facility is going to be on site, so this is about 6 miles, I think, worth of the land. And so you can imagine, they say if you take 3 of the other car manufacturers that are near us or around us and you put them together, and this is going to be bigger. It's one of the largest projects in the nation. And so I am proud to work for a company that is going to be a partner, help our communities, make us stronger, make us better, but then also that's going to help develop people. And so for that, I'm grateful.
Thank you, Ms. Marianne. Well, we'll just go straight into some of the questions here. I have some, and I'll ask some from the audience. A serious concern for working families in this area is quality child care. Are there plans for Blue Oval to address child care in this community? And if so, I know the state is working some, but what is Blue Oval?
And so, yes, one of the conversations that we had early on when we talked about workforce are what are the barriers that keep people from being able to go to work. Transportation and childcare were the two that continue to come up every time. And so We've had the conversations with our leaders. Senator Wally's been a huge part of that, and we've had conversations with TDOT. The state decided to do a transportation study, and so they are taking that portion of it on. They're going to look at the transportation that will help all of manufacturers, all of the area, from Jackson to Memphis to the rural areas. And so transportation's a big one. Child care. We recognize child care as a huge thing, and we want to help address that barrier. Conversations that are taking place, one of which is with the YMCA. We have nothing in stone at this point, but we said, we're not in the child care business, but I appreciate that Ford said, we just can't show up and make trucks and expect us to be successful. We have to look at those barriers as well. And YMCA was one that they noticed had many satellite offices through the smaller communities. Of course, they have their bigger facilities in Memphis and in Jackson, but those satellite offices were very helpful too, because if a mom has their child in school, they've got to go to work. Where can a child get on a bus and be able to be dropped off at a facility? And that was one. We're having conversation. Does it make sense for us to put a child care facility on site? We certainly are having those conversations as well. And so just know, and I'll let Senator Wally talk about what the state is doing, but just know that we take that very serious. There are a lot of moms that are a part of that conversation, and our HR director, Vanessa Presson, she's kind of taken the lead on that child care initiative, and so she is handling that, because at the end of the day, those employees will directly work for her and with her, and so she wants to make that as easy as possible. Do you want to say anything about the transportation?
I'll just say something fairly quickly. Accessing it, not only getting workers from here to there, but having the roads on which to drive them is a major undertaking for us. You're going to be seeing a lot of dirt moving and asphalt being laid, expanding access to the site. One of the things we're even beginning to discuss is, Mayor Bowden, is how do we look at maybe 179 and accessing up from Whiteville, opening it up to that Stanton area, or somehow give an easier access off of 64 up there for our folks from Hardeman County. You're going to be seeing on I-40 a couple of large intersections being built there. New interchanges at mile marker 39 is going to be a main one. So you'll hear a lot of concerns and complaints right now about road conditions, and they're inadequate, and that's true. We're having to resurface roads. We're having to kind of build it while we fly it. But I think it's going to be remarkable as you look up there. We heard September of 2021 it was announced. How many of you have had a chance to drive up and just see the site? Anybody? There is steel in the air that you can see from Highway 222. I mean, the superstructure's going up. This thing is speeding along. We have workers like ants all over the site. We've heard about the 6,000 jobs that are going to be created for Ford and SK Innovations. That excludes what we're thinking is up to 30,000 construction jobs between last year and all the way up to when it opens, and continuing on, because we're building a city there. I mean, everything it takes to support thousands and thousands of workers, restaurants, hotels, residential facilities. And I'm not talking about just there, and that's one of the main reasons we wanted to be here tonight. It's what's in it for Hardeman County. Not just being able to provide a site for workers to travel to, but what about all of these suppliers that are going to be providing support to this mega site? They need some place to go. And one of the blessings I think about Hardeman County is we currently have infrastructure that could really absorb more in the way of wastewater, water system for residential and commercial development. So that's one of the things I'm really proud of, the community coming together to have this conversation with these two leaders, because we've had some other counties that have jumped ahead of us. They may have been a little better coordinated between the cities and the county and the chamber and some of the others. but we're coming in at a good time, and they wanted to make sure they got here to listen to it. With the child care, we're working with our Department of Human Services to make sure that we're going to have access to child care. They're going to be entrepreneurs that say, you know what, I'll open a child care center in and around. This is a real time for creativity, too. This isn't a government project. This is a real private sector initiative. Now, the state of Tennessee, have invested significantly in this. We have about $800 million that we are putting into this between a new TCAT on the site, between the roads I've mentioned, between incentives for Ford and SK to come, and those are all guaranteed. I'd like you to know, because it's not just we're giving them money and what if it doesn't pan out that they produce 6,000 jobs? Well, they're guaranteed to produce these jobs, or they're paying that money back to you, the citizens of Tennessee, on a prorated basis for every job that's not created within 10 years. So, it's not some kind of government handout. This is an investment that everybody asks for. We got to have jobs here. We got to have opportunities here. We have to have an opportunity to keep our kids here, our grandkids here, so they don't have to move away and never come back. And we're blessed that here it is.
When you talk about workforce, 6,000 jobs, 2,500 SK, another, you said almost 30,000 construction jobs. When we talk about barriers to workforce, a couple of questions we had to know. This is one: will you be hiring offenders or other people with felonies? I know we have that issue here in Hardeman County where they can't work at some of the factories here because of their records.
So when you start talking about needing 6,000 people, so that's for Ford and SK only. So we haven't even gotten into the suppliers side of it, in which we won't make those decisions for them. But for us, we are talking about every avenue and turning over every rock. And that, because again, we want this community to be successful. And so while we haven't finalized those deals, just know that we're talking about reentry programs. We're talking about veteran programs. We are talking about going into just, diversity when it comes to, we're meeting with the Hispanic chambers. And so we literally want to make sure that we're addressing every area where we can possibly pull a workforce and develop them. And so, yes, that is one of the conversations that we're having as well.
I would just ditto what Marianne said, and I wrote that down because this is a new venture. And so as we develop those conversations and they're ongoing, that conversation and having that question asked help us to really put some meat on the bones. And so thank you for whoever asked that question, because it really helps us to be able to guide a conversation and get concrete answers. Thank you.
Okay, we were at a gala, I guess, Saturday together in Jackson, and we had a few more of the representatives there from Ford, and I asked them what should we be doing as a county, as a community, to take full advantage of the opportunities with Ford and SK, and the first thing he said was school system. So could you guys talk more into that, what should we be looking at?
I'm sure we'll all probably want to talk about this. This is one of the areas that I just get really excited about. And Heath, I won't call you up on stage, but I'm real happy that you're here. I've enjoyed getting to know Heath McMillan, who will be over the TCAT of Blue Oval City. But what can you do? So, you all, my background, I come from a mother that I love, Lord rest her soul. But I'm gonna tell you, I went to 13 schools in 12 years, and during that time, a guidance counselor never had access to me. I didn't know about student loans. I didn't know that you could go to college and live in a dorm. My parents moved away from me when I was 17 years old, and I've been on my own ever since. And I tell you this story because after high school, I didn't go to college because I was told we couldn't afford it. I went to work. And so what can you do? Let me tell you what you can do. You can make sure that you are talking to every child and not assuming that someone at school is doing it, not assume that someone at their home is doing it. If you have the ability to come into contact with a child, just let them know that they have the opportunity to go to college. They can go to college for free in the state of Tennessee. They just have to talk to someone who can help guide them through the process that's going to help them get there. That's the biggest thing that you can do, is inform the next generation. And oh, by the way, that's for adults too. And so if you know someone, lead them to what it takes in order to have access to a certificate or a degree or whatever it is that can lead them to a job. I know with Ford, we're going to be hiring so many different levels. Some may only have that high school diploma. Again, we're going to talk to them on an individual basis. We want to develop people so that when they come to us, they realize now that they can grow through that process. So education is a really important thing, but then I'm going to make sure that I drive home the soft skills. It's a part of education. So soft skills are show up, work hard, have a good attitude, and pass a drug test. If you bring us that person, we'll help them with the rest. So I can't underestimate how we have to start having that conversation more. And I'm proud that Ford, we're not just showing up and hoping that y'all are going to do it for us. No. We are every single day in these schools, from elementary school to middle schools to high schools to colleges, saying, can we look at your curriculum? Because we'd like to talk to you about maybe what you can do differently that will help feed those people into advanced manufacturing, which is no longer a dirty job, you all. This is robotics and mechatronics. These are just kids who love to play video games. They probably want to come work for us because they're going to deal with this stuff all day, every day. So it's starting in the elementary school with a soft skill is when you get up, push your chair in. Let's be considerate of others. It's critical thinking. We know that if you bring us that person, that we can then, with a TCAT right next door, we can help develop them. And so many people that I continue to meet and work with Ford, they've been there 30 years. They say, I started in maintenance, and now I'm a plant manager. I started in maintenance, or I was a teacher, and now I'm traveling the globe teaching Ford employees. And so these people, men and women, are starting on these lower level, and then we're investing in them and we're developing them so they know that you don't have to start on the line and stay on the line for 30 years. You can start on the line and you can grow if you choose. And so what can you do is just remember these TCATs, remember your colleges, remember all of that, and teach them the soft skills. And so I'll go to you and then we'll let Sheronda.
Well, and I'll just say too that Ford has been really good. I've met with them and have heard them several times, getting to Bolivar Central, getting to Middleton, talking about the career and technical education programs in particular, because they're going to have these 6,000 workers by 2025. That's getting these young people now that are sophomores and beginning to tell them, here's what's possible. And I'm going to say something to you that they can't say. They won't be allowed to say. When we were first talking to them, we, the state, and talking to Ford about coming to our mega site, we were talking about wages. Now, I'm not talking about the engineers and the salaried personnel. I'm talking about the frontline workers. We were told at that time that it was estimated, you don't give numbers, but what we were told at the time was, it was going to be substantial. And I've said this, and I apologize if I'm saying something they wish I wouldn't say, but we were told at that time that they were thinking probably $35 an hour as a starting. That's darn good if you live in Bolivar and Whiteville and Middleton and other places and you're a high school graduate. Now, I'm not going to hold them to that. You can say I shouldn't have said it, but that's what, when we were talking, and we had to be the ones that ponied up the $800 million to come alongside Ford, so I'm comfortable saying it because that's what, we are hopeful of. So I say that because they're already at Bolivar Central. I'm not sure about Middleton. I'm assuming they're there too, but sharing the career. Here's what we need for kids to be prepared in your career and technical education program. They don't have to go to college. I hope they do. I hope they'll go to our TCATs and learn more. But this is just for those folks coming out and starting. So I just wanted to share that, because a lot of times we think, oh my gosh, I've got to go to the University of Tennessee and get a 4-year degree and take calculus and all that. Baloney, you don't.
Senator Wiley finished up with exactly what I picked up the mic to say. And I was going to kind of piggyback off something that I heard Mayor Matizik said at the governor's conference. And that was just the thing, that when I graduated from high school, it was said you go to a university, get this degree so you can get a good paying job. And what I'm going to steal from you, Mayor Matizik, is he said, now we need to make plumbing sexy again. Because working with your hands is now about to pay off in a major way. Marianne mentioned those that are good with electronics and video games and things like that's about to pay off in a major way. And so thank you to Senator Wiley and all the other legislators that saw fit to be able to allow Tennessee students, those graduating students, to pay for them to go to TCAT or get that associate those first 2 years for free. Game changer. So the more people that you see now, they can still get that good paying job at SK Innovations, at Ford. They can do it right here at home. So just encourage those students that have a desire, that are good with their hands, good with electronics, good in mathematics, good in reading, to really pursue TCAT and pursue a career with Blue Oval and the other suppliers to come.
And to what Sheronda just said, so think about that. If you get your education at TCAT Community College, where it's free, so you then can go work for Ford. So when you're at Ford, you realize, you see what this engineer's doing, and you love that, and I want to do that. Those credits will then transfer to that 4-year college, so you can finish your degree, get the 4-year degree, be an engineer or whatever, and oh, by the way, you can do that while you're working and making money. And so I really just want to drive home the point about doesn't matter where you start, just start. Even if it's just applying for the job. If you don't know, just go and talk to a guidance counselor. If you need help filling out that FAFSA, if they send you home, say, fill this out, fill this out, fill this out. If you're confused about that, tell them. I don't want you to go home and get confused and get frustrated and then not do anything. So it's really important that you realize there are people out there. It's their job to help you, and you don't know what you don't know, and don't be ashamed of that. You can ask the question and someone will help you. And if you can't find that somebody, you can call me. I know you can call this man right here and any of us. We really will help you, guide you to the right thing.
Let me say one last thing about employment that was not said, because it's not Ford, this is not SK Innovations, but I told you about those 30,000 construction jobs. Those are separate and apart from what you've heard. Right now, they're jobs on the site, you know, with the contractors right now. If you can do concrete work, if you can do dirt work, they're interviewing, they're hiring, they're putting people to work now. And I'm going to make sure we get more of that information to Mayor McTizick and Mayor Pulse about those that want to go now. They've hired just in the last few months about, 50 some odd from Haywood, 50 some odd from Tipton, about 5 or 6 from Hardeman. But they're begging for people that want to learn how to do this if they don't know how. You know, they'll train you. You got to be able to do what Marianne said: show up on time, be ready to work, you know, pass the drug test and get to work. You know, they're not going to be worried about all your past. You know, they're ready for people that want to work now. So there are opportunities even now.
I was going to ask that, I know the Senator Waters, when he's talking about they are working now, Wallbridge Construction is the construction company that's doing the construction. The jobs that are available now, if I have a contracting business or I do handiwork and stuff like that, how do I take advantage? Okay, there we go. wallbridgeblueoval.com, so I can go there and get that information. So if you know people that's local contractors or just handyman, they need all the help they can get, wallbridgeblueoval.com, okay? And we'll put that on our city's website also. So when we talk about workforce, and I know we talked a lot about the schools and the basically sophomores and kids that's in school now, what about the adults? So if I'm working in what I feel like a dead-end job and I'm wanting to excel and be a part of what's happening with Blue Oval and SK, should I be going back to keep TCAT now? Should I be just getting, what should I be working on now?
So the answer is yes, because 2025, you all, we are getting ready to approach 2023. So think about, we are on track to have that first truck coming off of the line in 2025. So what does that mean? That means we're going to have to start training them before that. Heath, do you all have a date about when the TCAT will be ready? April of 2024. So what I would encourage you all to do now, if you think that you're interested in a job, is I would go and sit down and talk to a counselor and just talk about opportunities and programs. Figure out what you're interested in. Do you want to go the certificate route? Or do you want to, I mean, Heath, do you all have an understanding of the things that we'll be training for already? To a certain extent, now they have it, but they'll continue to get that information as we build those positions out. You can have a better understanding if you do it now, because if you start now with your education, you'll be ready when a year from now they start posting positions that you're interested in. What you don't want to do is wait and then have to go to college when the plant's already started. That's okay too. Trust me, we're not going anywhere when you build a $5.6 billion venture. And so is what I would encourage you to do, is to, we've also got emails for our human resource managers for both SK and for Ford. We'll make sure that if you want it, you have their information so that they can talk to you individually, because we do have that route to go as well. But go talk to the schools. We're talking to them so they understand what we're looking for. They understand the direction that we're going, and that will continue to grow and change over the next months and years.
All right, when we talk about 6,000 jobs, 30,000 more construction, if you ride around town in some of West Tennessee, you see now hiring everywhere. How are we dealing with the other local manufacturers that's, I know they're calling me now when Ford comes, they're going to take the 2 workers that I do have. So what's y'all's?
You know, so I love this question. You know, as a community person, I love this question. And then, you all, by the way, they say in other areas where Ford has built plants, for every 1 job we create, 7 more jobs are created in the community. So you do the math. There are going to be a lot, and that's from restaurants and hotels. It's everything that Senator Wally named. It's going to be from suppliers who want to be closer to us because it keeps the cost down if they don't have to ship stuff to us. And so, yeah, our manufacturers are concerned about that, and I am talking to them frequently to say everything that we are doing with these curriculums in these schools, these are not Ford curriculums. These are advanced manufacturing curriculums. So we are building a workforce, quite frankly, that will help all of West Tennessee. So we want to partner with all of the manufacturers to say we all have the same needs. We all have the same barriers, from transportation to childcare. So if we're creating a solution to transportation, that's just not for Ford. That's for everybody in the region. These are all regional approaches. So just know that funnel, not everybody that comes out of a college is going to say, I want to go work for Ford. There will be other opportunities, and we are just helping to remove the barriers, to educate the workforce, and then when they come out, then it comes down to how well do you treat your employees and how well do you pay them.
So I know me and Marianne talk a lot and back and forth about things in the community and what we can be doing. We got a press release about the nonprofit grants that came out. Hardeman County wasn't on the list, and I'll call like 12 times, and we worked that out, but I know there's a lot of community groups, religious groups. I know this question here. We are with the Salvation Army out of Jackson. We have a presence in Madison and 6 other surrounding counties. Our programs work with families who deserve to exit the poverty system. How might we partner with you to enhance your positive impact on the families and working in our area, Salvation Army? And I know there's a lot of nonprofits, church group, religious groups, and that's really the backbone of our community. A lot of the things that when the stuff falls through the cracks in the families, they pick up with that. So we had a good talk about it, and if you would share that.
Yes, so when I saw the release come out, of course, you know, I've got my people that I communicate regularly with. Mayor McTizit's one of them. And so I knew when I didn't see Hardeman on that list, I was going to get that question. It was like, why? You know, I had other mayors call, say, did I miss something? Did I not fill something out? Is it my fault that we didn't get added? And the answer is no. There wasn't a really sit down and figure out who and how we're going to select these. What we did is we took the site and we kind of went around. I can tell you we have a $16 million investment in Lone Oak Farms, which is right here in Hardeman County. And so $16 million has already been invested by Ford into Hardeman County. And so we did then open it up to some other areas that had not received any funding, especially to that nature, and they still hasn't. So it wasn't included in that grant. But then quickly after that, another grant was offered, and here's just an opportunity. And the first thing I did was say, please have Hardeman County on that list, and guess what they did. But this is a really neat grant, and it's new, and I'm still kind of reading it. But they've partnered with Heartland, Forward, Builders, and Backers, and the Epicenter Memphis, and Ford Motor Company, and they're going to give these $5,000 grants. And I think it's really neat, and I'm reading this because it's so new to me, but it's going to cover Fayette, Hardeman, Haywood, Lauderdale, Madison, Shelby, and Tipton. But they're going to be giving out $5,000 to those who apply and are awarded. If you've got a good idea that for solving a problem that your community is facing, we encourage you to apply. And so I kind of think that's like seed money. Have you ever heard of an incubator where they take these ideas and they bring them in and they try to create something out of that helps your community? So this is one grant opportunity, and we'll put that information on your website as well. So just know that while the capital grant, $1 million grant program, Hardeman wasn't included in that, we do have $16 million invested in Lone Oak Farms, and I think we can all agree that that program is quite amazing, and I'm honored that I get to sit on that advisory committee on behalf of Ford and have a lot more understanding as to what that money is going to be used for and how. And it's the STEM programs that they're going to do for education, we're real interested in that, as you can imagine. And so, yes, we're excited about that. Does that help? And just know, too, that we are not finished with Hardeman County. That's one of the reasons we're here tonight. We want to show you that we're here. We recognize how close you are to the communities. We see you. We are grateful for you. We know that we're going to have a workforce that comes out of this. And so there's a few things that have started, but we're certainly not finished, and we'll keep going.
When we talk about the workers, I don't know, y'all probably can't answer this, but I know out of the 6,000 that's being hired, some of those jobs, some of those individuals may be coming from the SK home office, and some are moving from Detroit. Do you have a number of how many that you guys will bring with you that will be moving this?
So I'll start with Ford. So our goal is to hire locally. We want to grow our workforce. That's why we're starting in the school systems. but there are some specialized positions that we need them to come here so that they can teach others how to do it. One of the guys that I'm working with has been here for 30 years, and at some point he's going to retire, and he's going to teach our workforce. And so while, yes, we may move, I think there's this concern that there's going to be a big rush of people moving in from Michigan. And honestly, we hope that's not the case. Unless we just don't have people who come to work, our goal is not to bring them in. So tell all your friends that we're going to be hiring. We're going to be hiring a whole lot. Our suppliers are going to be hiring a whole lot. Tell everyone you know, every family member, we are here. We want to create a generational change. We say we want to bring people from poverty and everything in between to prosperity. And Ford is going to give you an opportunity to have a good job that provides good benefits, and it provides opportunity for growth. And oh, by the way, it's a global company. So if you decide to move somewhere else and you want to see the world, you'll have the opportunity to do that with Ford.
And I'm just going to add to that, definitely what our Ford partners are doing is jointly what we'll be doing as well. I've been so impressed with all of the leadership that I've met in these past 4 days. SK is a new company. I learned the other day, well, new in terms of what we're doing with Blue Oval. I was hire number 4. So there's a lot of more hires to come. And when I go back to one of the previous questions about what do we do, look is look, but when preparation meets opportunity, that is when good things happen. So get prepared so that as this opportunity continues to develop, that you're ready. So maybe what we talked about on our call earlier in the week is looking down the road to employee number 8,000, and where we've come since then is going to be a historic and magnificent thing. And I'm hoping that that number from number 4 to 8,000 includes a lot of local West Tennesseans. And I'm sure that that's the plan. Just get prepared.
All right, I got through the questions here, and then the questions I had. Was there any other questions that were submitted? Anybody?
How much time do we have? We are on a time limit today, y'all. We've got to be out of this joint by like 7, I think. So, what time is it?
6:48.
We're doing good. So now I just want to talk about Ford and our product for a second, you all, because I know that. So we are building. We have a question here. So many people think that we're building the Ford Lightning here, and that is actually not the case. Ford will not be building the Ford Lightning here. They will continue building the Ford Lightning, but we're actually going to be building the all-new next generation truck. We don't even know what that is yet. So they're still designing it, and they have yet to release it. So it's pretty exciting to think that the next new generation truck is going to come out of West Tennessee. And so we're also working, we recognize that the infrastructure for charging stations is not where it needs to be. So I try to make sure that everybody knows we realize that we've got work to do, and it goes beyond just making a truck. But I just want to reassure you, and hopefully you'll hear me, there are a lot of super smart people, engineers that I have met, that for all of the problems that you may have heard in the past, they have taken all of that information and they have improved upon it, and they continue to make it better and better and better. And so I remember when that iPhone come out, I said, I'm not buying that iPhone. I'm not using that iPhone. I don't like that iPhone. Well, guess what I have? I have an iPhone. And I had the 4th one and the 5th one and the 6th one, and I've got the 13 now, and I'm still trying to figure out how to use it. But my point being is I want you to start wrapping your head around the fact that we know that this isn't the truck of today. We are making the truck of the future. And as we work, what can you do in a community, Mayor? Let's talk about the grants that are out there. I know with the state, ECD, I think, and TVA have a partnership, I think, where they're doing a grant that'll cover a large percentage. I think it's 80% of those charging stations. We want to start seeing charging stations at every small town. I know I have a builder in Tipton County. Every new house he builds now, he's putting that charging station in the garage. And so that shows you that we've already got people starting to think ahead. And when the infrastructure bill passed on a federal level, that money's coming down to the state. And they said, we want to see a charging station every 50 miles on the interstate. And so just know that we're talking about those things. And then, oh, by the way, by the time we get all of that, they're going to have something newer and better that's going to surpass even that. Because I know there's testing being done in some areas to where, you know, if you lay your phone down and it's charging and it's not plugged in, I mean, they're already starting to think ahead to say, and this isn't a Ford thing, this is just a research thing, research and development, where how can we get that same technology in the roads so that when you're driving, it's charging? And so I tell you that story. I loved that story and found it so interesting because it just reminded me that when people say, we don't have the infrastructure, it's not coming, it's coming. Like Ford has a $50 billion investment globally into this. And they want to be the leader in the next generation. Right now, we're the second. And as my boss says, we're coming, Tesla. We want to be number one. And with this $50 billion investment, we think we can do that. And they wouldn't go all in on something that they didn't think was going to work and wasn't going to work well. And so just know that we believe in our products. We think we have great products. If you see that Lightning out there, has anybody ever ridden in a Lightning? Okay, for someone who says, but they're not fast, it's fast.
It's fast.
It's so fast. I have every police officer saying, can we get some of those Lightnings? And so every time I went to a school to talk the other day, and I did just some capstone classes, and I had a kid who was drilling me. He was just coming at me with everything I've read and I've heard and the environment, all of this stuff. And I was answering his questions, and he finally apologized and said, I'm sorry, I know I'm being negative. And I said, no, don't be sorry. You're bringing up problems, but now I want you to change the way you think. I want you to be the next engineer who identifies the solution to that problem. So now start thinking about that. Because I think it's neat that you're identifying the problems because we can't fix it if we don't know what it is. But I want to leave you encouraged to know that we're going to keep working with our students. We're going to keep inspiring them. We hope that we're going to inspire you, and we hope that at some point you too are going to embrace everything that we're doing and bring into this community because it's all for the region's benefit.
Mayor, I wondered if you would indulge me a minute to ask you a question. As we have SK Innovations and Ford here, and the state of Tennessee is working closely with them and with Hardeman County and our other counties in our district, how does Hardeman County begin to see itself playing into this? What does Hardeman County want to be, want to offer, want to connect to this remarkable venture? And as I know there's infrastructure here, I know there's been some thinking going on, but tell us a little bit about, if you don't mind. If there are others you want to call on out here, that's great too, but how do you want to take advantage of this opportunity?
So we've been talking about the mega site before I even was elected. It was the talk probably when Commissioner Green first started. We talked about the mega site. We got to get ready. And we as a city has been doing that for a while, as well as the county working on our industrial park. Because like Mary mentioned earlier, the suppliers to Fords, they're going to want to be close to as close as they possibly can be to save on transportation costs. So when you see the grants for site development, we're in the process of working with with our county mayor now to get our industrial parks ready, so those suppliers to Ford that may make the headlights or the brake pads. Remember when we had a Harman Automotive that made the brake pads and the mirrors and things, we would like to see some of those suppliers here in our communities, that we can have jobs, not, 30 minutes is close, but 5 minutes is closer. If we can have that, so we've been working on that. On the residential side, housing is an issue. I know Ford and SK is not really, they're supporting, but when you talk about 30,000 people and other people moving to this region, they have to live somewhere. And so community livability when it comes to things like what we're doing downtown and throughout the county, working on our residential aspects and our community living, where we're proud to be Hardeman County and we're proud to be Bolivar and have the opportunities. I love my community. I hope everyone in here loves our community. We all have the same issues when it comes to Brownsville, Somerville, Selmer. We, other mayors and county mayors, we all talk about the same issues and we're dealing with the same issues, but what can we do in Bolivar to separate us from that? So that's some of the things we've been working on as a council, as well as our county commission, like Long Oaks, like you mentioned that, our school system, the things that we're doing at Long Oaks. If you have not been, that is a jewel right in our backyard. Like, I promise you, the STEM Center, what they're doing out there. If you hadn't had the opportunity to go to, it's right down Sane Road, right there in Middleton. As everybody, raise your hands, you've been to Long Oak, have seen Long Oak Forum. The opportunities that we have, that's, anybody been here go to 4-H camp years ago? Remember going to 4-H camp? That's here, so you won't have to go. I don't even remember where 4-H camp was, but Milan, so you can do that. That's going to be right here. It was like 3 or 4 other cities that fought for that 4-H camp, and we have that in our backyard. So some of those things, that's what we're trying to take advantage of as a community. So I'm telling, the opportunity is now to work on your small business. Some of these buildings downtown, this is the perfect opportunity for us to take advantage of having a shoe store, a clothing store. So all that's great, the 6,000 jobs, 30,000 jobs. If we can get 10 small businesses to open up in Bolivar and hire 5 people, that's a plus. If we can do the same thing in Whiteville, me and Mary Bowden talk a lot and working. They got Fast Time grocery store down there. My wife's go all the time when she's coming back. So coming back and forth from Memphis. So we have to support each other. Stay off the internet talking negative. I'm gonna get on a political rant for a minute here. If you have nothing positive to say about Hardeman County and Bolivar, leave. Okay? If everything you say is weed is, what are you doing to change that? And if you don't like Hardeman County, goodbye. Well, I say Bolivar, Ty could speak for Hardeman County. If you don't want to be here, goodbye, okay? We want people to be proud of Bolivar, people to support what we're doing. We're not perfect. We have a ton of problems. So when you find that perfect city, don't move to it, because you will be the first person to mess it up. So let's support what we have. Look at this beautiful theater we have here. No one else has this. There's a lot of things that we don't have, but guess what? There's not another place that has a J&J Fish House. How many been there to eat? Okay, so there's other things. We got a couple other fast food places coming out, but there's things that we have that we can be proud of. Let's support it. Let's be proud of it, because when they're looking, if somebody from Ford or SK goes online, they don't have to come here. Type in Bolivar, Tennessee. Type in Hardeman County. Go on Facebook, and are you going to be the person that's talking negative about Bolivar, Grand Junction, Middleton, Whiteville, or are you going to be the person that's saying, I'm proud of what we have? So, like I said, we're not perfect, but we're all we got, y'all. Like, this opportunity is here and available, but if we don't take advantage of it, we'll get left behind, and we'll be looking like we're looking now, 10, 20 years from now, fussing and saying, when are we going to have an opportunity? We had opportunities before Ford, before SK. Now we have even greater opportunities. So I didn't mean to get on a political rant, but sorry.
I kind of enjoyed it. I mean, I kind of enjoyed it. You know, small town girl. I do think we have to support each other, and I think we have to educate each other, and I think you have to ask yourselves in your chambers, like, Are we offering leadership groups for our youth? Are we offering leadership groups for our adults? Because how many people in here really know what all Hardeman County has to offer? You live here, but have you toured the facilities? You know, so think about that. Who could help organize a group of people who can learn where these sites are available, learn what the people in your communities are doing, learn how we can support them? I think those are just great things that as a community you can do, and put and every so often put new people through that, and especially our kids. If we show the kids the opportunities, they're going to go to school, they're going to realize that they don't have to move away to make themselves better. They're going to learn that they can stay here, because this region's going to change, you all. But if you're not growing, you're dying. And for years now, we've watched West Tennessee's population decrease. And this was what we are all waiting on. So let's rally behind that. Let's recognize that we are going to have bumps along the road. But when you have a concern, we want you to call us. Like I'm with the mayor. If you take it to Facebook and it just grows and everybody adds, it just fuels the flame. I would rather you, and I'll give you my phone number or my email. I'd rather you call me and ask me, hey, I heard this. Is this true? Just ask me and let me let you know. Hey, I'm concerned about this. Why are y'all doing that? Let me get you that answer so that you can understand. And so we did get a question here about, will there be employment opportunities in the educational field? So if you're in the educational field, your job you just got a lot of job security. Let me tell you, we need everyone in the educational field to stay there if you're happy, because we want you there. First of all, we want you to understand who we are and what we're doing and what we need, so that you can help us create that workforce that all manufacturing is going to need. But if there's a moment where you feel like you need a change, yes. I mean, I think that you could potentially go anywhere and work in an HR department and a training department, and so there's room for all opportunities. I spoke to that class the other day, and I had kids raising my hand. I want to go to nursing school. You know what? We're probably going to have nurses on our staff, because we've got 6,000 people who are going to need some direct attention. I had another girl say, I want to be in journalism. Well, did you know that Ford has a communications team? So you may not go work for a news station, but we have a whole arm that does nothing but deal with those news stations. So you'd still get to do what you love, and don't don't count us out on that. And if you love the nonprofit world, we have a whole arm in our company that does nothing but philanthropy type work, where we work with nonprofits and giving back to these communities, because that's important to us. And so it's like thinking outside of the box, from engineering to technical work. But it just doesn't stop there. And then, oh, by the way, I do government relations. And so community work is my passion, and that's what I get to do every single day. And so we're not one little lane. We have so many different arms that branch out. And so don't underestimate all of the options at Ford. And then this final question, I think, goes to the mayor, and I'd like to be the one to ask you this. Does Hardeman County, and Mayor Pulse, you might get pulled up in on this as well, does Hardeman County have, or are you working on a strategic plan to meet the needs of Blue Oval City?
Yes, I actually met our planner right when we walked in. Jim Pierce is our county planner here. Of course, our county mayor, Pulse here. We're also working with our downtown development district and LRK from Memphis. So the state gave us a grant through ECD, $50,000, or I'm sorry, I think $5 million grant for all of West Tennessee to hire planning engineers and strategic plans for us to put plans together to deal with the growth, how much infrastructure we're going to need in place to deal with the people that's moving here, whether it be the roads and things like that. So there's a lot that goes into a manufacturing company this size. So we're actually putting together, I say we, the county mayor's putting together the strategic plan, the urban growth plan, and I don't know, Mayor Pulse, if you want to come talk about that. So all of our city mayors work together on that, and I'll let them mention that.
Thank you. And I won't take up just a few minutes here. We are working on a strategic plan. We haven't had a growth plan since 2011. So all the municipalities are working together, but Hardeman County has to have this growth plan. Folks, this is coming. We need to be proactive instead of reactive. We can sit back and wait and wait and wait, and then you sit back and think, well, we should have done this, we should have done this. Well, that's what we're trying to do right now. We're developing a plan. Mr. Pierce is here, right here, with his hat right here, raise his hand. If you have any questions about that, we'll all be around after this meeting and talk about that. But we're going to grow. We also had TDEC money that came in for each of the municipalities, and that was a great thing to happen. That was for the wastewater, the repair, and that's what we're trying to build up is our infrastructure. All the counties have basically the same problems, but we're trying to build up our infrastructure, and that's what we're doing. So I'll give it back to you, and we're looking forward, and thank y'all for being here.
So I feel like y'all went really easy on us. So does everybody feel like they came here tonight and their questions were answered, or do you feel concerned or nervous? Okay. Well,
So
I mean,
they said just a little bit, just a little bit.
so I mean, I just really want to thank you for just showing up. Like,
Absolutely.
you didn't have to do that. You showed up. You were attentive. You asked good questions, and we're really grateful for that because we want to be a good partner. We want to be a good neighbor. We want to grow with you. We are building a plant, and we haven't done anything like this in 118 years with our company. So this is a big deal for Ford too. And so we're learning a lot of things as we go. And those infrastructure talks with the municipalities, that is not exclusive to this county. That is all over the region. Senator Wally and I talked about this earlier. You all actually happen to be ahead of the game on that more than some of the other counties are. Everyone's planning and everyone's working. I say plan the work and work the plan. If you create a plan, work the plan. That's a really important guideline to stick to. But we're proud to be in West Tennessee, and I'm so proud that they chose West Tennessee people to represent them because we're one of you and you're one of us. So if at any point after this night you just want to send an email and ask a private question that's not announced to the world, just know that you can do that. We're accessible. We do give our phone numbers out. We do give our emails out, and we are available to come and speak to your civic groups or whatever, groups, your church groups, whoever it is that you want us to speak to. We are here to help you understand and learn as we learn. And Sheronda, I'll let you close.
Absolutely. I just want to say that when you look at SK, and I mentioned there were 4 employees or 5 that I've hired, some of those were HR, but one of the first positions was mine, and that's community engagement. And they went that way, I feel like, because they want to make sure that where they are planting right now, that they engage with you. So I was going to say exactly what Marianne said is, I don't have business cards today, but I do have an email and a phone number that I will readily share with you because SK wants to know your concerns, and we want to try to handle those. We want to be a great neighbor, and we're looking forward to being here a very, very long time.
That we are recycling those batteries. They are not going to the waste field.
They're what? We're recycling?
Just so you all know, there's one issue that we constantly get asked. The batteries will be recycled.
Recycled, yes.
So if you will touch, is that on your sheet?
That is not on my sheet, but
So
there's a couple other things.
That's just one of the things I just think it's important to mention because I do know that there's a concern about what will happen to the batteries. 100% they're being recycled, and that recycling plant will be on site as well.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I'll be available after to give out that email and phone number if there's any communications. I look forward to coming back to Bolivar, to Hardeman County, and sharing and speaking with you throughout this entire project. Thank you.
Well, I'll say thank you so much to Senator Wally. Again, like I said, Representative Shaw was not able to make it. I'd like us to be praying for him. But Marianne, we've been on a ton of webinars and Zooms and conference calls and all that calls and text messages. And so same as Sheronda, thank y'all so much for taking the time to get the approval to come down here and do this. Means a lot to Hardeman County, means a lot to Bolivar. You didn't have to do this, and we really appreciate it. Yeah, Wyville's next, so they'll be headed to Wyville. And like I said, Mayor Bowden, I'm jealous of how close he is, because once that 4-lane happens down the road, he's going to be right there. So, but it's exciting, guys. I promise you, as a community, the mayors, city mayors, and the county, we are talking a lot. We're working together. We're all in this together. When Middleton wins, Bolivar wins. When Bolivar wins, Wyville wins. We're just all working together, and it's going to be exciting. So hopefully when we are back here 5-6 years from now, or maybe 10 years from now, we can look back and say we're excited at how we took a great advantage of it. And Grand Junction, Grand Junction wins, Mary Lane. Yeah, all right, well, thank you guys so much for coming out. Let's give a big round of applause to Ford and SK. Well, everyone have a good night, and like I said, if y'all need anything, we'll be around to ask questions throughout the night. Thank you.